orchid fans, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. And today we are doing some work. So I unpotted my three basically biggest orchids because I want to repot them for different reasons, but all of them are done. So this guy there, I already unpotted it. I will keep it in the same pot, but I just want to reposition it so that it sits a bit more upright, because at the moment it was growing like that, so it took loads of space. This guy was recently repotted, so I'm just going to use the same media that I have, and I'll just fill the pot, so that's just going to be an easy one. So let's just get that one done. This one I won't even really need to do much, because the root system, as you can see, it was tidied up previously and it looks pretty good. The new growth started pushing out new roots. They're just started to come through, but the existing root system is also branching, so it does have quite a lot of active root tips. So all of them are gonna go back in the pot. There is some leca in here because when I poured all of this out, the bottom layer of leca just fell in there as well. So I'm not gonna pick it out of there. I'll just use this whole mix, but I will put a new layer of leca in there so that I have it. And I think I mentioned in my previous videos, but the reason I do that is because, so I will put this microfiber through the pot, and this will sit in a saucer so that when I water the plant, the water will be collected in that saucer, and then this microfiber will wick it up into the pot. And sometimes in that saucer there might be a bit of water sitting, so if I have a leca layer at the bottom, then it's not going to deteriorate in the pot, whereas bark would. So that's basically the reason I do it. So let me add some leca in there and I'll be back. Okay, that's my leca layer in. I'm trying to keep this microfiber loop up, so that it kind of goes midway into the pot, so that it can wick water higher. And let's try and do this nicely. In terms of labels, I usually put my labels right inside the pot, and because it's a see-through pot or a transparent pot, I can still see the name through the pot, but it just means the label is not sticking out, and that's quite good because it just doesn't get in the way. So I'll hold this loop up and I will pour this in a little bit. I don't want to go too high so that I can actually position this properly in the pot. So if I want this to be upright, you can see the root system is gonna go this way, but that's okay. It is, I washed the root system when I unpotted it, so the roots are quite flexible, so I will be able to kind of wiggle them around. Yeah, so I want this to be something like that, so that the new growth is more kind of in the middle of the pot, and it's also upright, and this bulb is also now upright. So this one leaf, this one will be kind of going sideways, but that's okay. It's better to be one leaf rather than the whole plant. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the position. So let me just fill around. Okay, and that's one guy potted up. So yeah, I can see some roots through, which is good. All the roots that were kind of hanging out of the pot are now back in, and this is it. I'll get this watered, and that's my Beallara potted up. Coffee first. Okay, so the next one, which one should I go for? Let's do the Brassia. I've got two pieces, and when this piece was in the pot, I thought that there is actually two pieces, because they were just wiggling separately. It just looked like a separate plant. But when I unpotted it, I did actually see that it was one plant, but the rhizome between them was so thin it just literally wanted to separate itself out. So it didn't take much, you know, much effort for me to actually just separate them. So I think it will actually be better. I know these plants seem like they are smaller now and, you know, quite small, so I've only got one bulb here, this big bulb, and then the new one, which is not even mature yet, but look at this root system. I think I'm actually gonna just trim it up a little bit as well. It is a branching root system, and I mean the branching is just amazing on this plant, so I'm really not afraid to cut. See, like this is just one root, see how much branching it's done. So I will cut some of it away so that I can pot it in a 12 centimeter pot. It was in a 13 centimeter pot before, so it's not going into something much smaller. And given that, you know, there were both of these pieces in here, I think the 12 centimeter pot should be fine once I trim those roots. So I've got this piece, and I've also got this piece, which again seems to be fairly small. I just got a small bulb here, then a bigger one there, and then this one. So this bulb seems to be, it's matured a little bit more than the other piece. Also, I don't know what these stripes are at the top of the bulb. I thought it's maybe mechanical damage, but I just can't think of anything I could have done to it to cause these stripes. So I'm really not sure, and I've not seen any pests or anything that could make that. So yeah, I'm just a bit surprised, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah, one piece is going in the pot and the other piece is gonna go into water culture, and I think what I'll do is I'll pop it in a glass of water and I'll speak to my Orchid Society members to see if anyone would like that piece. And if they do, then I can share it with them or swap it, you know, to another plant. So this pseudobulb is maturing faster, and it's got already developing roots here. So I think that maybe I will pot this one up. Let me actually position you a little bit lower so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so I hope that's a little bit better, so you can actually now see what I'm going to do. So this guy, it's gonna go into this pot, and these roots will fit in here, so I'm not gonna do too much trimming. I'm just literally going to trim off the bottom part, and that will hopefully encourage those roots to branch, and it will just be easier for me to plug them in the pot. So I've got my tweezers, and this is, you know, this is what I've done when I potted it up before, a couple months ago, well, maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 months ago, and you can see how much it's grown afterwards, and it branched the roots and everything. So I know that this plant is really not gonna mind me chopping off these roots. So yeah, this one's got a green root tip, so even though it is a bit longer, I'll just keep it because it is active. Okay, so I'll get some leca in here and let me get rid of this so that I can use it for mixing my media, and I'll be back. Okay, I got my leca at the bottom, I got my microfiber through as well. This Brassia is very, very thirsty, so the mix here is some big chunks of bark and kind of seedling size bark, and also ceramis. So it is a mix of, it's more of a finer mix, you know, there is not that many big pieces of bark, but because it is so thirsty, I want this media to stay moist for a while. Yeah, so you can see I put the wire through one hole, and then it goes around this small bulb, comes out the other end, so that way this eye here is completely free, and if it does decide to develop, it can, if it wasn't buried. Yes, it's right there. as you can see, just very small. But I've been watching it for a while and it's not really doing anything. When this bulb started growing, I was hoping maybe this eye will also do the same, but it just never did. So it's been like that for about 3-4 months at least. So I don't think it will really do much, although now that I separated the two plants, it might push this one out as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So that's another one potted up. This Dendrobium was actually potted in a 15 centimeter pot, and you see it's only 2 canes, so that pot is really way too big for it. However, look at this root system. I can't fit it in a smaller pot. So what I'm going to do is I will just cut a lot of the roots off. And I know this sounds very scary, but I've been watching this orchid for a year now and I know that it grows loads of roots. I honestly wouldn't do that if this wasn't a branching root system, or if I knew that this plant is not going to grow roots. I wouldn't just be chopping them off like that. But I know that this particular plant is very vigorous on the root front, so it's definitely going to be okay. And you may ask, why am I repotting the plant when it's in bloom? Is it a good idea to do that? Because the plant will probably drop its blooms soon. And yes, probably it will, but these blooms are actually wilting off already. I don't know if a camera will show, but I think it will. You see how you can kind of see through these kind of little veins. So when the flowers start aging, that's what they start looking like. And so I know that these flowers are not gonna last long anyway. I might have another couple days of these. So either way, they will be dropping. Some of the flowers look still quite fresh. They opened last, so you can see the difference between these ones and, for example, this one. So yeah, if it will drop the blooms a bit sooner, I'm not worried at all. I know it sounds really wrong that I am just trying to cram it in a smaller pot, and that's why I'm cutting roots off. But this plant was in a 15 centimeter pot before, and these 2 canes look ridiculous in such a big pot. The plant just doesn't need such a big pot, and it stays wet all the time. So I water it once a week, and when I was unpotting this guy, last time it was watered 6-7 days ago, and this pot was just totally wet throughout. And Dendrobiums like drying out between waterings, so I'm sure it will enjoy being able to dry out. And if there will be more roots in a smaller pot, so if it will be crammed a little bit more, it will hopefully use up that water more as well. So I'm not just doing it just because I don't have space, or I want it to be in a smaller pot for, to make it look prettier. I am doing it to help the plant. So I know this looks scary. Looks like I have less roots left on the plant than what I cut away, but trust me, it's not gonna even notice that. So yeah, I think this one will be a lot better now. So I think I'm still gonna have to kind of twist it in. Yeah, and I'll be able to sit it quite well in the pot. So what I'll do as well, I will actually secure those 2 canes against the support. I hope it's actually strong enough, because now I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'll try and secure them because they just try and run away from me while I'm trying to pot them up. So let me reposition you so you can actually hopefully see everything. Both the tray and the plant, so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I got my mix. So this is basically the same as I had for Brassia: large bark, small bark, and a seedling bark, and Ceramis. But I just added a little bit more chunks of large bark because I just want this pot to hopefully dry out a little bit faster, because Dendrobiums like to dry out, whereas Brassias, or at least my Brassia, doesn't. So that's basically the rationale behind it, and I think I, as always, mixed up way too much. Okay, and here we have it, the Dendrobium repotted as well. I still don't like this. This is still not stable enough, and even the pot itself just doesn't seem very stable. So I'm gonna have to think of something else. I don't really want to use the wooden stakes because I had one before in the spot, and when I pulled it out today, it was all kind of rotted and nasty. So you know, they don't last long. Whereas that's why I wanted to use the coated wire, but this one doesn't seem to hold this plant. It's just so heavy. But we'll see once the blooms drop, it might actually be a bit better. But I've got the new growth right there, so I want to make sure it's above the media, which meant that, you know, some of the roots are actually just on the surface. And they're not completely covered in media, but that's okay, you know, it's epiphytic plant, so it doesn't mind that. It's got loads of holes as well, so I'm hoping that it will allow the pot to dry, and it's got the air cone. I don't know if I'll be able to show you that without dropping half of the bark all around me, but that's it, all my 3 guys potted up. And I'll plug this into the decorative container, and hopefully that will stabilize it a little bit. Alright you guys, here is all our 4 plants potted up. So we've got one in water culture, another Brassia just at the front, the blooming Dendrobium is now in a smaller pot, and Beallara is finally straight up, so you can't see it leaning out the side. So that's great. I'm pretty happy with that. That's all my big plants kind of taken care of for this year. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave comments in the comment section below if you've got any questions or any suggestions, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And have a good rest of your day, and see you guys later. Bye!